Hi, everyone. Welcome to today's webinar. I'm very happy to have our friend Liz Adamson back with us. Today, she's going to talk about product page optimization, which is something that can really help you as a seller on the Amazon Marketplace. I am Liz Fickenshire. I'm the business development lead for eComEngine. You might know us because you're a user of one of our tools. We've got Feedback 5, Restock Pro, and Ecom Spy. You might have attended one of our past webinars, but either way, I'm really glad that you're here. I'm going to tell you a little bit more about who we are at the end of Liz's presentation, and then we'll share some special offers exclusive to attendees of this webinar. We'll be conducting a Q&A at the end too, so as we go on, please submit your questions via the question box in GoToWebinar, and we will be recording. So if you miss anything, don't worry, we'll send a follow-up email with a link to the recording. Liz, are you ready?
Yep, ready to go. Okay.
There you go.
And waiting for controls to come over for some reason. There it is. Okay, are we good on your end?
We're good. Let's go.
Okay, well, thanks for having me. I've been working with the eComEngine team for a couple of years now. You may have seen some of my blog posts. They've been a great team to work with and great products. Just a little quick introduction about myself. I am the founder and lead consultant of Egility. We are a digital marketing agency, and we specialize on the Amazon platform. So that for us means product page optimization, enhanced brand content, anything that can help your product page stand up above the crowd. We also focus on the advertising side of things, driving traffic to those pages, which includes sponsored products, headline search, AMS, and we also work with AMG and AAP campaigns and platforms. So I'm really excited to be here. I've been working with sellers for since 2011 and have really loved working with the Amazon platform and Amazon sellers and helping them get their brands launched and selling on the platform. Today, we're going to talk about a few different things in regards to product page optimization and how that can help your total product sales. We'll start with a few levers to, what is it that increases your product sales? What are those factors you need to be looking at to help your sales increase? We'll go into then the product page, which includes product images, keyword research, your product copy, enhanced brand content, which is also known as A+ content on the vendor side. And we'll talk just briefly about video shorts and the new beta opportunity that's come up for sellers in the last little bit. So let's dive into product sales. Sales is basically a factor of two different things. Your traffic, or the number of people coming to your page and looking at your product page, multiplied by your conversion rate. So of the people on your page, how many of those are actually purchasing the product? You increase one of those factors and you increase total sales. So we're going to kind of break that down a little bit. Traffic is a product of your organic search and your advertising. So where you're placed in organic search, when someone searches for your product, are you popping up where they're going to see you and click on you? Same with advertising. Are you running advertising, sponsored products, headline search, Facebook, whatever it is? Are you running advertising to drive traffic onto that page? Conversion rate, that is, I like to call it quality of traffic, because you have to think about who's coming to look at your page. Are you advertising to people who are actually interested in your product and in the market to buy? Or are you advertising to the wrong group of people who really aren't ready to buy that type of product right now? Quality of the product page, that's after, of course, they've landed on your page, and have you been able to convince them to buy? So if you work on those two sets of things, you can increase your conversion rate. And today's webinar, that's what we're talking about, is quality of the product page. What makes up a good product page? What helps them decide to buy? And some of those factors actually also will influence your click-through rate and your traffic. That would be like titles and images and things like that. And so a good product page, of course, will use the right keywords that will help you get indexed in Amazon's search engine. You're not going to show up in search for keyword unless you're indexed for it. So you've got to have the right keywords on the page, and then you've got to convince the customer to buy. Let's see. So let's just jump into the anatomy of a product page. And I've tried to order this more or less on how they appear on the product page. It's a little bit different for mobile than desktop. I've defaulted to desktop, although you should be aware that mobile is becoming increasingly more important. So when you're creating a product page, you really should be sure that you're thinking about the mobile shopping experience and what customers are seeing on a phone versus sitting down at their desktop and shopping. So for purposes of this, I've left it as the same order we see on desktop. So typically the image is something a customer will see first, then your title, price is right there at the top as well, review, that review count's right below the title. The next section that desktop customers will see is bullets. And as you probably know, description is way down at the bottom of the page on desktop. Now these two are flip-flopped in mobile. In mobile, you'll see that description first and you'll see bullets next. Enhanced brand content. Now that actually takes the place of the description for sellers. If you're a seller using enhanced brand content, your description becomes hidden. And the enhanced brand content is that those visual graphics you see in place of the regular copy, that plain text copy in the description. Related video shorts is becoming kind of more and more talked about recently, and I'll show you an example of where that is on the page, but it's down at the bottom of the page, and there's usually, it could be anywhere from none, there could be none, or dozens of videos in a little carousel at the bottom there. And then Q&A is also an overlooked part of the product page. That's down the very bottom, below video shorts, right above the product review section. And that's where customers can ask a very specific question about your product. And you as the seller have the opportunity to answer that, or other customers can answer it as well. So it's in your interest as a seller to make sure you're watching that and answering any questions as they come in from customers, because that is looked at. All right. Before we get too far into product page optimization, we need to discuss brand registry. Brand registry, if you've sold on Amazon for any length of time, you're probably pretty familiar with it. Oops. There we go. And one thing I do want to point out is the old registry is being deprecated. So in years past, you could sign up for the brand registry pretty easily. Just had to show your logo, show a URL, show a few other things, and you could get onto the brand registry. The new brand registry does require a trademark, and while they grandfathered in when they launched the new brand registry a couple of years ago, I'm sorry, 1 year ago when they launched that, they grandfathered in the old brand registry applicants, but that is now going away. And if you're a seller on the old brand registry and you haven't gotten onto the new brand registry, you should have received an email from Amazon alerting to that. Brand registry, if you're not familiar with what it is or why you should take the time to apply for the new one, it is needed to make updates to your product page. Amazon pulls in product data from whatever sellers happen to be selling on that product page. And even if you're the only seller, sometimes it doesn't take your updates. There's different kind of controls in place that decides whether or not you get to contribute to a product page. So if you're on the brand registry, it puts you kind of at the top of that list. It says that you're the brand owner, have the authoritative content, you're allowed to make these changes to this page, and your changes, Amazon can make that assumption they're going to be correct since you're the brand owner. So if you want to do all these things we're going to be talking about today, you need to make sure you're on the brand registry. Otherwise, it's going to be a lot of back and forth with Amazon trying to get changes pushed through. And the other thing you need the registry for is to keep those updates. You could get that update pushed through with the help of Amazon if you're not on the registry. But if another seller pops on, or if Amazon, who knows what they do on the back end, your changes could revert. And so to kind of lock down that content so that it doesn't update, you do need to be on that brand registry. And then the last, there's several other things that brand registry do, but we're going to keep it short for purposes of this webinar. There's additional marketing tools that you'll get access to, and that includes EBC, which we'll be talking about today. You won't be able to add enhanced brand content to your product pages unless you're on the registry. So I've already mentioned 1.0 is being deprecated, 2.0 is now required, and you do need that registered trademark. Okay, so let's jump into the product page. Product images. This is arguably the most important part of your product page. It's the first thing a customer sees. It's the first thing they're going to look at, both on your product page and in search. When they pull those search, so that search engine results page in Amazon, They're basically looking at a list of photos and titles. So you need to have a really great image there. It should only be high quality images. You know, don't go taking images with your smartphone and posting them and trying to edit them on Photoshop. That's probably not the best way to get a high quality image, unless you're probably much better at it than I am. But invest in high quality images. Invest in a good photographer, or a good photo booth, or a good equipment to take those high quality images of your product. There's some different requirements, of course. The primary image is very restrictive. It can only be the product. The product only on a white background. You can't have a lifestyle image there. You can't have infographics there. You can't have your logo there. It really needs to just be the product. And we recommend, of course, that you upload a photo that's large enough that a customer can zoom in. So that would be 1,000 by 1,000 pixels. If you meet that minimum size, then a customer will be able to zoom into your photo and look more closely at some of the details of the product image. So you want to make sure you have that. Now, secondary images, there is more latitude there. You can do lifestyle, and of course, I always recommend you have several different angles of the product. Close up, you know, that's especially helpful for fabrics and things. Different angles of the product, front, back, side. If you're selling in grocery or supplements, you know, the shots of the nutritional information, ingredient lists, things like that. If it's clothing, you'll want a picture of it, you know, on a model. You want a picture of perhaps them doing different activities in it, especially for, like, you know, athletic wear. You'll want them, you know, maybe riding a bike, but get creative here and try to pull them in and catch their attention. And you've got 9 slots for your images. And Amazon data has shown that customers will click through every single photo. So you want to fill up those slots. They will look at every single thing and evaluate your product using that photography that you've posted. Keep in mind that you know, we're not in a brick and mortar retail store where they can pick up the product, they can look at it, they can examine it. We need to recreate that experience on your product page where they feel like they understand what the product is and it meets whatever requirements they have when shopping for that product. So get creative there, fill up all those slots. Amazon has given us data that a conversion rate does increase with the more photos that you're using to show that product. So let's look at some good and bad ones. So here's what I would call a bad product image. You know, this is probably fine if you really don't care what kind of headset you're getting, if you are truly just buying in bulk and don't care and about the quality or features. But, you know, for anyone else who's more interested in features or you know, whether or not these headsets have, you know, volume control, microphone, things like that, that doesn't tell you any of that. And from this page, this was the only picture. This was the only picture you got of this product. So to me, it's a bunch of cheap headsets that perhaps if I'm doing some sort of giveaway, maybe I'd be interested in that, but it's not going to be for the serious headset consumer. A better one is this one. So you can see, I believe this one was their primary image on the left. You can see that close up. I can really see what these earbuds look like. I can see perhaps some of the quality that's put into it. These other 2 images were secondary images. And I love what they've done here where, you know, not just showing more pictures of the product, but they're giving more information. And this is one of the things you can do to optimize for mobile. It is use these images and turn them kind of into infographics. Because someone on their mobile phone, they're likely not going to plug through all of your bullets and all of your description. If you've used the Amazon mobile app, you actually have to click through the description and click through the bullets to actually get to them to read them. So images can be a much more powerful way of catching their attention for anyone who's shopping on mobile. But this is great because it shows you all the features, everything it does, shows you a close-up of those features, shows you that it comes with all these different accessories, and it answers a lot of questions just by looking at the pictures. The customer's not having to dig for this information. The next one is one of my favorites. I was at Prosper Show last week, and the seller of Damn Near Kilton was there and gave a presentation and showed this search results page. So he sells kilts, and for a while, everyone who was selling kilts looked exactly the same. It looked exactly like that top row. It was just a picture of the kilt. Pretty soon, everything looked pretty much the same. So he decided to stand up above the crowd. He was going to put the kilt on a model. and show that as his primary image. So you can see that in this search engine results page, that his two products really pop out because they're different. I mean, if you were to go look at the rest of the page, it's all a bunch of just kilts. So his particular images are standing out above the rest. They're capturing more attention. And in addition, I can see what it looks like on somebody rather than try to imagine, oh, does it go to the knee or does it, where does it hit? And so this is increasing click-through rates. And that's one way you can use images to increase your traffic, is by using that powerful image as your primary image to get their attention and get them to click on your listing. Okay. So after you've curated your images, you're going to want to jump into the copy. But before copy, you have to get into keyword research. As I mentioned earlier, if you're not indexed for the search term, you're not going to pop up in that search results page for that particular search term. So you need to come up with keywords you think customers are going to use to search for your product. And there's several ways to do that. And it's a combination of research and brainstorming. The first step is really to sit down and look at your product and describe what it is. So we'll go back to the earbuds as an example. So if I sell earbuds, I could probably call it earbuds, headphones, wireless earbuds, wireless headset, Bluetooth. List all those features that describe your product. That's going to be your core set of keywords. Your next step is to expand on that, okay? And you want to come up with variations on that. And one way to do that, and I'll show an example of this on the next slide, is you'll input those keywords into the Amazon search bar. You've probably noticed as you start typing, it gives you a bunch of suggestions. Look at those suggestions, though that is an indication of how Amazon customers are searching. So use that to find more ideas. A hack, and again, I'll show this on the next slide, but a nice hack to use that search bar is just put a hashtag sign right before the keyword, and you'll generate another set of phrases. And I'll show you what that looks like. Third-party tools, I get a lot of questions about those. Are they accurate? Do they give you good information? And I tell everyone, no, none of them are accurate, but they're still great tools, okay? They're great tools for brainstorming. The part that's not accurate is that search volume. Amazon does not publish that data. I don't want anyone to think that any of these tools that they buy, that these vendors, these software providers are actually pulling actual sales numbers and actual search term volume from Amazon. It's all screen scraping and algorithms and really very educated guesswork. So they're really good tools, but you have to make sure you're using them properly and not using them as a brainstorming list and not absolute truth as to what's exactly happening on Amazon. Relevancy is key. I see way too many sellers who start, especially when they start using third-party tools, they'll see, oh, this particular phrase is ranking, has 1 million searches in 1 month, and it's not totally related to my product, but I want that traffic anyway. That's not a smart strategy. What you end up doing is attracting customers who have zero interest in buying your product. Your conversion rate drops. Amazon's algorithms see that. They start pushing you down in search results. It's just bad all the way around. So ignore any keywords that really don't describe your product, even if they look attractive from a search volume standpoint.
Well,
what you do want, yeah, go ahead.
Isn't it accurate also that you can get a warning from Amazon if you misuse the backend keyword terms?
Absolutely, and we'll talk about that a little bit more when we get to search terms. But they're very especially sensitive about using brand names. Some of the big brand names is where you see a lot of the warnings, Apple and Disney and brands like that. But they're getting more picky about using anyone's brand names. And one interesting exception is I've got a client. He sells accessories for GoPro. So he's not GoPro branded, but his accessories are used to work with the camera, the microphones and mounting, equipment, things like that. He originally had listed his product as GoPro, microphone or something like that. And his listing got shut down because he's not a GoPro brand. All we had to do was rearrange that title, and we used his brand. So his brand, microphone set for GoPro camera, and Amazon was fine with that. So making that very clear that no, I'm not the GoPro brand or I'm not the Apple brand, but my accessories do work with these brands. And so there's a little bit of leeway there. You just have to word it very carefully because they will show that. So look for variations on how you're describing your product. For example, and I kind of already said this, but earbuds can also be called headsets, can also be called headphones, earphones, you know, all those different synonyms could be different ways that customers are using to find your product. Here is that example I promised you. So this is the Amazon search bar. So you can see I typed in earbuds, and you can see all these different results: earbuds with microphone, earbuds Bluetooth wireless, earbuds with volume control, etc. So all of these could be search terms that very well describe my product. And so I'm going to want to grab these and make sure I'm using these phrases and these keywords in content. And here's an example: earbuds for kids. If your earbuds are clearly not for kids, don't use that. Don't use that search term. If they are for kids, and I think most earbuds probably are interchangeable, but this is just an example of don't be marketing to an audience that your product isn't for. It's not worth the traffic because it'll kill your conversion rate. And this is that hack. So I've got on the right-hand side here, I've got that hashtag right before the term earbuds. And you can see what it does is it's giving me keywords that come before earbuds. So instead of earbuds with microphone, I've got wireless earbuds, I've got Bluetooth, I've got Apple, Skull Candy, iPhone, earbuds with mic. So there's several different types of search terms here that you're going to pull up if you use this little hack. So I suggest doing that as well. This is an example of a third-party tool that I have used for a long time and I love. And again, this is a great brainstorming tool. All I did was type in earbuds, and this is the list. There was, you know, I don't even know how many results I got, but I got a huge page full of Amazon search terms that we could use. And all these guys are doing is they're taking that search bar and they're using they tried to explain it to me, but it was a little bit beyond me, but they're taking that search bar data where when you type in a word, that list appears, and they're using algorithms to kind of extrapolate that data. We can see that wireless earbuds and Bluetooth earbuds are kind of at the top of search volume. And this tool is, this one particular one is merchant words. And there's a lot of other ones out there. There's, I know Viral Launch just launched one, and I think Chuckle Scout launched one. There's a ton of these out there. And you can use any one, it doesn't matter. They'll all give you a pretty long list of different search terms, and you're going to want to be looking for those ones that relate to your product. And what you want to be careful at is using this monthly search volume. So if you do subscribe to a number of different tools, to Merchant Words or Viral Launch or whoever else is launching new tools, Sonar is another one that the Alex team does, you're going to notice that this search volume varies greatly between platforms. And in my opinion, it's not that anyone is more accurate than another, although I'm sure some of them are probably closer to the mark than others. But what I use this for is I can clearly see that wireless and Bluetooth earbuds have quite a bit more volume than, say, noise canceling earbuds. And so I look at them in context with each other. And it very well could be the Bluetooth earbuds is actually a more popular search than wireless earbuds. I think that's probably within the margin of error right there. But if I look at 1.9 million search results of wireless earbuds compared to 186,000 in noise canceling earbuds, I can be pretty confident that one has larger search volume than in the other. And so that's why I kind of recommend using these tools. Okay, so that's your keyword research. Once you've got a list of keywords, that's when you get to start writing. And your first step is going to be your product title. And there's several things to talk about when creating that title. First off, the title is the most important place for keywords. It gets indexed more heavily than the rest of the page content. And so that's where, again, let me back up here a little bit. There we go. So that's where you want to pay attention to this volume. So if I know that Bluetooth and wireless are the top, have the top search volume, I'm going to want to make sure to get those into my title. And then other ones like noise canceling, and unless that's the primary premium feature, you know, I may want to put that down in bullets if it's not a huge feature of my product. So let's talk about the title format just a little bit. Let's see. Got ahead of myself here. Oh well. Okay, so product title, I usually recommend just a very simple kind of formula, I guess, where it's your brand name, basically the name of your product or what the product is, and then list 1 to 2 attributes. And within so that product and that attribute section, you're going to want to sprinkle in those keywords. What I don't advocate is putting in so many keywords into your title that it becomes very confusing, and by the time the customer has finished reading the title, they've forgotten what the product is. Okay, let's not confuse the customer with an overly long title that's just stuffed chock full of keywords and synonyms and everything else. You want to keep it simple. You do want your most important keywords in the title, like I already mentioned before, and you want to keep the title, again, this goes back to not keyword stuffing, you're going to want to keep it between 100 and 200 characters. That's kind of the sweet spot. Remembering, again, for mobile and for some desktop applications, your title is going to be truncated, especially in advertising, headline search, and sponsored products. Your title is going to be truncated. So if you're making sure you're kind of keeping it brief, you're keeping the most important parts at the beginning, which is your brand name and the name of the product. If you're truncated in search or in advertising, customer will still understand what you are. So here's just a quick example. So it'd be my brand, Bluetooth wireless earbuds. So I took those two popular search terms, and that's what I'm calling my product. These are Bluetooth wireless earbuds. And then I added a couple features. I saw in my research that microphone and volume control seem to be, higher search volume. So I added those in, and then I just added the color so they knew what they were getting. Wow, I'm having problems here. There we go. Oh, there's the earbuds. There we go. Okay. Sometimes I get asked about what's called a canonical URL. And what this is it looks like this. This is what shows up, say, if you're doing a Google search and you see Amazon show up in the search engine's results page. You'll see the URL, amazon.com, and then you'll see the title of the product. So in this case, Panasonic, the model number, stereo earphones, black, and then the ASIN. If you want to, and this can be great for indexing in Google. So if this is something you want to make sure you're doing, that you get this nice, clean, canonical title that has your product name in it. The way that's made is it's typically the first 5 words of the title. To ensure that happens, to have that kind of control where you decide, I want these 5 words to be in the URL, you're going to want to use a hyphen. So just like I did in my example up above, where it says my brand, Bluetooth wireless earbuds, and that hyphen is placed for a reason. That means when that canonical URL is created, it's going to use those first 5 words, and then it won't mix it up. Because sometimes what happens if you don't have that hyphen, it'll say my brand, Bluetooth, wireless, with microphone, might jump around a little bit. So I'm kind of indicating to Amazon with this hyphen, please use this for the URL. Okay. The last thing you want to kind of do a gut check on your title and ask yourself, does it make sense? Did I completely overstuff this where now I don't know what it is? Or am I making a very clear communication to the customer on what this product is and why they should click through or buy it? Okay. Bullets and description. Let's see. Bullets and description, that will be the next set of copy you're going to be writing. Bullets on desktop is going to be the first thing a customer sees, right? So they get the title, they see the images, they're looking at price, they're looking at reviews, and then those bullets are almost always above the fold on desktop. And if a customer wants some more information, they'll go there first. On mobile, it's a little bit further down, it's a little bit of a scroll, and then you have to click through. So they're not quite as urgent for mobile, but they are for desktop. We recommend about 250 characters, although you're going to want to check this limit for your particular category. I pulled up an example here. This particular category, if you go into your backend, look at the description tab, and then hover over that little information icon under key product features, that's your bullets, it will tell you what your maximum is. So in this particular category, I don't remember what category this was, but they're limited at 100 characters. One of the things that was actually emphasized at Prosper Show last week when I was attending was the importance, again, of optimizing your copy for mobile. And so while you could, in some categories, get a maximum of 500 characters, if someone's on mobile, that's probably too much for them to read. They'll probably appreciate more that 100 to 250 character limit. So keep that in mind when you're optimizing. These bullets, you're going to want to be descriptive and sell that product. This is your chance to convince them to buy, and you're going to want to focus on what all of your product features are, what makes you different from the competition, and what makes your product special. I had a brand management professor in grad school, and his kind of favorite saying was, what makes you different, better, special? And those are the three things you need to communicate. Why are you different, better, special? Use your keywords in a more natural way. Again, you're not keyword stuffing, but this is where you could use some synonyms. Maybe you call it earbuds in the title, maybe you're going to call it earphones in the bullets, okay? And work in all those different features. You've done your brainstorming, you've seen what customers are searching for, you know what features your product has, make sure you're listing all of those features. One of the things I've seen, I've been working with a lot of kind of grocery and supplement and other kind of ingestibles lately. And one thing I keep running across is a lot of them are non-GMO, vegan, gluten-free, soy-free, all those kind of minor points, not so minor to some customers, but maybe the brand is feeling like they're minor, and they're not listing them in the bullets. They don't have them in copy anywhere. They just have them maybe in their pictures. And so they're not being indexed for things like non-GMO and vegan and gluten-free. And so make sure you're calling out just all those features that could be even remotely important to your customer. So that when someone's searching for vegan protein bars, they'll find you because you mentioned that, oh, we're vegan friendly or whatever it is. Your description. So that's below the fold on desktop. It's a little bit more prominent in mobile. And this is where you can write your essay. Again, keeping in mind mobile, they may not appreciate an essay, but that's where EBC comes in. 2,000 characters. You're going to go into more depth, keep using some more keywords. Anything you didn't get in the bullets, sprinkle them in here, or it's okay to reuse keywords as well. It's not like Google where you have to reuse keywords. Google kind of gives you some points on, how often a keyword's been mentioned on a page. Amazon's not like that. Once it's there once, you're good. But that doesn't mean you can't repeat them, because that actually kind of does that psychological, has a psychological effect where someone has used a particular search term, and they see that search term in copy a couple times, they'll kind of reinforce to them, yeah, that's what I was looking for. Use basic HTML. One thing I hate seeing is when there's a 2,000 character description and there's absolutely no formatting and it's one giant long paragraph. You can use paragraphs, you can use bold, you can use even lists. Just really super basic HTML is the only kind of HTML Amazon will accept. So use that, so it just makes it more readable. Okay, so backend search terms. I get lots of questions on these. So if you've been paying attention, this has undergone some changes in the last year. It went from like 1,000 characters to 5,000 characters, and then got scaled way back to 250 characters. Amazon's doing this because they saw way too many irrelevant search terms in the back. People were keyword stuffing the crap out of their back end. And using all sorts of irrelevant stuff. So they're forcing you as sellers to be very irrelevant. The other thing it forces you to do is using your keywords on the front page where they should be. And first of all, you're forced to be relevant. And second of all, it does help with conversion rate. So this is really almost an afterthought now, these back-end search terms. This is where, okay, I didn't have room on the front end, or it didn't feel natural, or I want to use a synonym or a really strange misspelling that Amazon might not pick up on. I think I'm getting ahead of myself here. Let's back up a little bit. Again, keep them relevant to your product, because that's why Amazon kind of trimmed this all up, and you don't have room to be irrelevant anyway. So keep them very relevant to your product. We touched on this. Do not use brand names, including yours, because you're already indexed for it. So there's no reason. Okay, don't waste that space. So don't include brand names. The exception can be if you're an accessory for something, you can say for Apple, whatever, but that should probably be on the front page. Do not duplicate your front end content. That's another big mistake I see a lot. If you've got the word earbuds on your front page, you don't have to put it in the back page. This is it's not necessary. You don't have to repeat. You're just wasting space again. What you want to do is use synonyms, spelling variations, and other keywords that are not on the front end. And here's an example of what that string looks like, because I get asked if how this looks like when you put it together. So you can see it's just one long string. I'm not trying to do very specific phrases where I'm repeating headphones over and over again. I've got headphones listed out 3 times in kind of different spelling formats. That's very helpful. And that spacing is important. I've had clients where they have a product name that can be with a space and can be without a space. And unless you have both versions, I've seen them not get indexed for the second version. So if you've got a product where it can be spelled with or without a space, make sure you've got both of those in there. And then I've got, F instead of PH. And then I put in, this is something you don't often see on the front end and for a lot of products. And so we put it on the back end. So this product is for, because we saw in that search term, we saw, for example, earbuds for kids. I may not want to advertise that on the front page because that's not the primary function of the product, but if it still works for the product, I could buy my kid just about any earbud on the market and it would work. You can put this in the back end for men, women, kids, adults, children. So you can do all sorts of stuff and that will help with search as well. And then even, these activities. So this will index for running or for walking, for exercising. So it does mix and match. The fact that I've got 4 in there one time is okay. It will match it up to all those different words that follow it. Okay, and here is what the backend search terms look like. If you're not sure where to find them, it's in that keywords tab. And depending which category you're in, this page is going to look different. It's different for every category. Usually search terms is up towards the top. One thing you're going to want to ignore that's not in this particular category I got the screenshot from is there's a field called platinum search terms. That has nothing to do with anything. It's only for platinum sellers. Just ignore it. I see people filling that out and you're just wasting your time. It's not going to be indexed. What you do want to do is fill out all of these other ones: intended use, subject matter, target audience, other attributes. And we've done a lot of testing where we'll put a word like entertainment or something in one of these fields, and we'll find that does affect indexing quite a bit if entertainment's not anywhere else. And so these are a few examples of just kind of different ways you can put, different other ways you can add in some more keywords and help with kind of the search and browse feature in Amazon. So I put in other attributes: waterproof, sweatproof, and some of these may have been listed on my front page, but I'm putting them back in these other, I'm just filling out all these fields. I always recommend you fill out as many fields on the back end as you can. There's also that more details tab at the top there. Go in there, find the fields, fill out anything you can. It will only help you in search. It will help customers find your product. Okay, let's jump into enhanced brand content. Enhanced brand content is also known as A+ content for vendors. And as we mentioned before, in Seller Central, it's available to brand register, and that's going to be 2.0 products only. And I'll show you an example of enhanced brand content here in a minute if you haven't seen it before. It's basically a graphic, a description that uses much more graphics than, it's not just plain text. You can use images and infographics and brand and logos and things like that. We have seen that when we have launched EBC, it does measurably improve conversion rate. And I wish Amazon would break this out for us, but I suspect a lot of that's mobile. Amazon has one of the highest mobile adoption rates of all the e-commerce shopping sites. And again, EBC looks great on mobile. If you've designed it correctly, I should add. So it helps optimize product page for mobile, and it uses those visual elements to communicate features and benefits of a product. So this is what it looks like on the back end of Amazon. You've got several templates to choose from. So you can see there's all these different places that you can drop in images, and then there's places for copy throughout kind of those images. You can also customize your own template if you have a different idea of something you want to do. This is an example. This is about half. I couldn't get a full screenshot and have it show up well. So this is about the top half of an EBC that I found that I really liked. What I really liked about this is, I've seen kind of 2 different kinds of EBC. I've seen versions where a customer really has only pulled in a bunch of stock photography, or they're just pulled in more pictures of their product, and you're just basically, it's not providing a whole lot of additional value. This, however, is providing a lot of additional value in the sense that you can see they're using icons and symbols to communicate different things. And so what they're doing is they're acknowledging the fact that a customer, especially on mobile, I keep bringing that up, a customer may not take the time to read your copy. As much time and effort you put into that copy, they really just may not read it, or they may skim it at best. And so using these symbols will kind of aid them in making that quick visual scan of your product page and going, oh yeah, that's exactly what I was looking for. It's non-GMO. That's really important to me. Or it's gluten-free. And I can see that with these symbols really easily. I can see there's 20 grams of protein. It's full of veggies and greens. And it's low, relatively low calorie. So these are all great ways to communicate quickly what your product sells. And this type of EPC is what improves conversion rates. One thing I'd probably change on this is, again, with the title at the top of the page, I'd probably have a better idea what this is. But looking at this alone, I'm actually not totally sure exactly what format the product is. So I'd probably, repeat a little bit more clearly what this product is. Is it a powder that you mix in? Is it, what is it exactly? So you want to make sure you're kind of reiterating what your product is. Here's another one, Garden of Life. Same idea. He's using icons to communicate the features and benefits of his product. Okay, video shorts. This is down at the bottom of the page. You can see this screenshot here. It's down below those product details, and there's a number of videos in this particular page that I pulled up. These are syndicated from a number of different sources. So anyone can actually syndicate a video to your product page. And you may as well, as a seller, be syndicating your own videos as well. If you've got videos that talk about your product, you can see there is one here from, well, that's Amazon Prescription Drugs. That's interesting. But it's specifically about Garden of Life meal replacement, which is the product that this page is on. To do these related video shorts, you do have to use a third-party service. Gen.video is one. There's a couple others I could probably mention, but I'm blanking on the names right now. But there's a number of different third-party services that will syndicate this video to you. You can do either a monthly fee, or you can do a flat fee, and they'll send that video to the related video shorts page. And you can do multiple videos. It's not just one. You can do as many as you want, depending on the plan. What we're seeing now is a beta has started to roll out through more and more sellers, and sellers are now able to do this through Seller Central. The limitation is you only get to upload one video. So if you have more than one, you're going to have to use that third-party service I mentioned. Or if you're not in the beta yet and you don't want to wait, use that third-party service. The nice thing about the Seller Central beta we're seeing roll out is it also finally adds that video to the top of the product page for third-party sellers. So it'll add it there at the top, and it will drop it into the related video shorts section. So we're hoping, Amazon hasn't communicated anything, but I'm just hoping and expecting that video for sellers should roll out by Q3. Don't take my word for it, but that's my hope. So let's just review everything we've gone over. So we talked about kind of the levers to increase your sales, which is basically a function of traffic and conversion rate. Increase your traffic, increase conversion rate, you'll get that boosted sales, and optimizing your product page will attack both of those items. Traffic can be done through that keyword indexing or SEO. So we talked about doing that keyword research and making sure it's in your copy. Traffic is also affected by images, because that's how a customer decides to click through onto your page. Your title also influences that click. Your reviews, your price, and that's part of the algorithm as well. Reviews and price play a little bit of a factor in there, that they'll also influence that click. And then advertising can send any traffic if you're struggling or need additional traffic than what you're getting organically. Conversion rate, you can influence that again through images and title, and reviews and price. Those will all influence your conversion rate. And then the rest of your product page content, which is your bullets and description, enhanced brand content, video shorts. I didn't go way into depth into Q&A, but just know that that's there. Know that you should be responding to it because it is read by customers. And I think I'll hand that back over to you, Liz.
Okay, thank you so much, Liz. That was a tremendous amount of great information, and boy, do we have questions for you. I'm going to switch the roles back over to me real quick, and just take a couple seconds to tell you guys a little bit about eComEngine. We're totally committed to seller success. I like to say that at Amazon, they say you need to be customer obsessed, but here we're like totally seller obsessed. So our tools offer you a lot of automation in terms of your seller reputation, feedback, and product review monitoring, solicitation. We have Restock Pro for supply chain management, inventory control, and restock needs, sourcing intel with eCom Spy, and the list goes on. But even when we don't necessarily have a software solution for a particular area of interest, like product page optimization, which matters to you guys, we still want to provide best-in-class thought leadership And that's why we're such good friends with Liz, because she's awesome and she can help you on your seller journey too. So that's my spiel. I'm going to switch over and show you our special offers, but we're going to dive into the questions now because we have so many of them. So those are our special offers. They can be in front of your face while we tackle your questions. And luckily, Liz, I think if it works best for you, we're going to go by category. So images. We have someone who asked that their primary images have backgrounds and logos. Why would Amazon allow that?
If Amazon's allowing that, if you've got product images loaded as your primary image, if you got images loaded as your primary image with backgrounds and logos, it is technically against Amazon's terms of service, but the reason why you're able to run with it is they simply haven't caught you yet. At some point when their little bots catch it, they'll probably close the listing and alert you.
And I think you said the best image resolution. Can you repeat those pixels for 100?
Yeah, 1000 by 1000.
Okay, cool. Great. And then somebody commented, I think they were a little bit confused about the good product image where it was the earbuds. I think that you meant that the first one on that slide of just the earbuds on the white background was the primary image, and then the secondary images were the ones where you're kind of telling your infographic story. Is that correct?
Exactly. Yeah. Those were 3 different discrete images. So sorry if that was confusing. Those are 3 totally different images. That first one on the left was the primary image, and the other 2 images on the center and right were secondary images.
Cool. And then I think there were some questions about using a model for the apparel for the kilt example. Is that still considered the product on a white background, or does the addition of the model kind of like walk the line between not being the product on a white background?
Yeah, the Amazon apparel category has its own set of rules, and in fact, when you're accepted into apparel, they require that you understand and read through those rules on what to do with images. One of those rules is you have to have the clothing either just flat, kind of like as you saw it, or on a model. So models are allowed in apparel.
I would hope so,
Yeah, it just looks better.
And then someone commented that they had 9 slots for images, but only 7 would display. Is that something that you're hearing, or is that?
Yeah. When you do more than 9, you get that little icon at the very bottom of the image list. There's like a little plus sign, and you click on that, and then it goes into that pop-out screen where you can see all the images.
Oh, okay, cool. So brand registry, we have one question. It says, when you have brand registry, is it easier to get unauthorized sellers taken off the listing? And if so, how do you go about doing that?
Yeah, that's a good question. There's been a lot of misconceptions about brand registry. Brand registry is not for policing unauthorized sellers. Amazon is happy to have as many sellers as as can be on your product listing selling your product, as long as it's not counterfeit, inauthentic, or illegally sourced. And so, there was a lot of talk after brand registry, the new one rolled out, that, this could be the gateway into brand gating. The brand gating too is only in response to counterfeiting. You only get brand gated if you can show you have a counterfeiting problem and that it's extreme and hurting customers. So Amazon is in the camp of, we don't care who sells it as long as it's authentic, and so they're not going to help you kick unauthorized sellers off your listing. Exception is counterfeit. If you can show that it's a counterfeit product, that it's not yours, it's not genuine, or it's used or something like that, they will kick them off.
That's good to know. Regarding EBC and A+ content, someone has asked, regarding the keyword fields, many of these are pull down lists. Should we use options available, or just type our own relevant keywords?
Right. Good question. If the options available to you are relevant, yeah, go use them. Because we're actually still a little unsure how everything's being indexed and used in those fields. And so if a default option is applicable to your product, it's relevant, use it. There may be a little bit more chance that it will get counted. But often, I think there's one intended use or something, one of the fields, that drop-down menu, it lists a bunch of holidays, which really has nothing to do with hardly anything I'm selling. So that particular field, I completely ignore it and just type in whatever I want that's applicable to my product. Because a lot of those pull down options, they're so limited. So if it doesn't apply to you, use something else.
Great. Is having A+ content better than EBC? A+ content can get pricey for multiple products.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it can. So A+ content, there's now actually 2 versions of it if you're a vendor. They have just made it free, and I don't know if it's rolled out to everyone, but I have a couple clients in Vendor Central, and it is now free to them. A+ content is now free. It has a slightly different set of templates, so we got a few different options. One is not better than the other. If your brand is being sold through Vendor Central, you likely will not have access to EBC on the seller side if you've got both accounts. Amazon kind of has that locked down. I've been told they are actually working on that because it's been a problem if you've historically been a vendor and now you're a seller and now you can't access anything. So I think they're working on it. That's what I've been told anyway. But really, one is not better than the other. Both of them are free. There is a premium A+ content that's rolled out. If you want to see what that looks like, go on Amazon and search for some of the Bose products. Not all of them have it, but when you find one, you'll know it when you see it. It's really cool. They're the new A+ content, but that's the one that costs a premium right now.
Awesome. My friend in the Pacific Northwest asks, how about the fact that EBC content is not indexed? Basic product description is indexed, but not EBC. So,
good question. Yeah, correct. EBC content is not indexed. Whether or not that's going to change, we don't know. But obviously, if you've got a graphic with words in it, that's not going to index anyway. So what we do for that, and the reason why I still teach product descriptions is because even though that product description is no longer visible on the front page after EBC has been published, that product description is still in the back end and it's still indexing. And so if you write that keyword-rich product description, even when you're planning on using EBC, it will still benefit you for keyword indexing as it sits in your back end.
Awesome. One seller has an EBC 1.0, but noticed some listings video in place of images. With 2.0, do you automatically have the option to add in video?
EBC 1.0. So brand registry is 1.0 and 2.0. EBC did, I don't know if this is what you're talking about, EBC did just overhaul its template format. So maybe that's what the questioner is referring to. That those templates rolled out for everybody. The video that rolled out, it's still in beta with just select sellers. It is part of the EBC. Like you go to, is it the advertising tab and then enhance brand content. You click on that and that brings you to, and then you put in your SKU. It asks you for a SKU number. You put that in and submit it. And then it pops up, are you adding EBC or are you adding a video? And so, yeah, accessing that video is through that EBC page in Seller Central. I hope that answers the question.
All right, moving on to search questions. What does it mean to be indexed for a keyword or search term?
Okay, so it basically, so Google, this is the same way any search engine works, whether it's Google or Amazon or Bing or whoever it is. There's kind of, and I know anyone who's listening to this who's more technical than I am will probably laugh at my explanation, but here we go. There's basically bots crawling your site and it's reading your content. And so, for example, if we're like, I'm just going to use the page you have up now. It says eComEngine coupon codes for extended free trials. So this bot is going to read that sentence, and it kind of creates like a like I like to think of a library with its 20 years ago when I was in college, and you had to go and look through the cards, to find which books were in that particular library. And so it basically files away in its cataloging system that this particular site has extended free trials. And so now if a customer searches for that, Google or Amazon or whoever pulls up a list of the thousands of sites that use that term, extended free trials. And then how it ranks it, whether you're in the first spot or whether you're in the 1,000th spot, will depend on a number of different factors depending on the search engine. In Amazon land, where you rank on the page for your keyword on that search engine results page, where you rank on that, whether you're in spot number 1 or spot number 100, is going to mostly depend on your sales history and your conversion rate. And so if you want to rank for Bluetooth earbuds, you better have some sales. So it's kind of a catch-22, but that's something we could definitely dive into on another webinar on marketing and things like that.
Awesome. A couple people have asked, how many keyword inputs can you use per product?
How many keyword inputs can you use per product? Not totally sure I understand that question. I mean, you can use as many keywords as you can come up with that's relevant to your product. Your only constraint is going to be that character length. So you've got anywhere from 100 to 500 characters in the bullets and 2,000 characters in the description and 250 characters in the back end, and then plus your title, which is another about 200 characters.
Right.
So anything Okay.
So someone also asked, even with a max of 100 characters for bullets, they still let you add more characters, and does that hurt you in a search? So I guess that's,
Okay.
if you can use as many as you want, how many can you use until it hurts you, or does it ever hurt
Okay.
you?
If you exceed those limits, like you have those warnings, you'll only get 100 characters, but it's letting you put in 250 or whatever. I think that's what you're asking, right?
I think.
Yeah, because I've seen that happen where it tells you got a limit, but you're actually able to push it. It's kind of funny. We've seen that be policed more heavily by Amazon. Where it'll hurt you is if Amazon sees that and decides, oh, you've exceeded the limit, I'm shutting down your listing. We've seen that happen, especially around titles. We haven't seen that happen a lot around bullets. And so bullets, I haven't seen a whole lot of, penalties happen when you exceed it, other than sometimes I'll upload a file or I'll try to, put it into the back end and it won't save because it's too long. So the only safeguards they have in right now for too long of a description in bullets is they won't let you save it to the system. It'll say error too long and you have to shorten it. If you're able to push it through, I haven't seen any drawbacks unless Amazon crawls the page. It's like, oh, you can't do this. We're gonna, shut you down until you fix it. Now, the exception to that is the backend field. Okay, that's 250 characters. If you exceed that backend field, because you can put in 5 lines and who knows how many characters, they don't kind of shut it off for you on that back part. If you put in more than 250 characters on the backend field, what happens is Amazon kind of starts picking and choosing from that long list you put in of what search terms it's going to index for. And you don't want that. It could miss your most important keyword in favor of a less important keyword. And so in those backend search terms, you have to keep them below 250. And if you're not sure, if everything's being indexed, you can use a tool. Like one of my favorites is, it's called Keyword Index Checker. It's just a Google plugin, a Google Chrome plugin, I should say, or an extension. And you can just plug in your backend search terms or whatever keywords you want to index for. You plug in your ASIN, it will tell you if you're indexing or not. So if you're not sure if you've overgone a limit somewhere, if you're not sure if everything's indexing, you can use a tool like that and just double check.
Super. There are a lot of questions about keywords, so maybe we can address some of those in a follow-up blog post since we were down to the last 4 minutes.
Yeah.
So let's hit a couple of the general bigger questions. One person asked, how do you become a platinum seller and what are the benefits?
Benefits are arguable. A platinum seller, I worked with a retailer. We were a platinum seller. I started my career with a startup and we grew to one of the top 200 sellers and became a platinum seller. I think there was just some minor benefits. One was we got paid weekly instead of biweekly. And the other one was you got a storefront, which now Amazon's rolled out to everybody. And that's what those platinum search terms are for. They were designed for those platinum storefronts that were only for platinum sellers. I think there was another benefit, but I had no idea what it was. It wasn't all that, it must not have been all that great if I'm forgetting it, perhaps. There's really nothing there anymore. They've rolled out, the only main thing was that storefront, and that's been rolled out to all sellers. And platinum sellers were, it was based on volume. You had to be like a top 100, 200 seller on Amazon.
Super. And then this one was really intriguing to me. This is a friend of ours who asked, any tips for a wholesale sourced seller who has 500 plus SKUs to manage? How can you optimize all of those product pages when you've got that many SKUs?
That many SKUs. I get that a lot. And it's a nut that actually we're trying to crack ourselves for my company, because that's one of the things we specialize in is product page optimization. And I have clients with hundreds and thousands of SKUs, and we're trying to figure out how best to roll that out. I suggest starting with, take it in pieces. Start with your first, your top 10, 20 sellers, your top 20% of your SKUs. Those are going to be bringing in the majority of your volume anyway. And if you move the lever a little bit on those high volume SKUs, it will have actually really big results in sales. You increase that conversion rate by 1 or 2 or 3 points. And if you've got hundreds of thousands of impressions or sessions, traffic, you'll increase sales quite dramatically. So the first step is focus on just the top 20% of your catalog, okay, your top 20% of sellers. And then from there, if that's still a big number, start grouping them into categories. For example, if you sell swimsuits, okay, and maybe you've got 100 SKUs in women's swimsuits and they come in, 5 different sizes each and 20 different colors, and that gets to be a lot of swimsuits all of a sudden. Really, a swimsuit is a swimsuit is a swimsuit. Okay, so you can write one set of copy and apply it across all of your swimsuit product pages, making some changes for size and color and design and bikini versus one piece for, things like that. So that's one way we've been working on scaling, is finding all those like products, grouping them together, writing one set of copy that is describes the product without being too generic, and rolling it out across sizes and variations and things. The other, for hundreds and hundreds of SKUs, the next step is just, again, to keep grouping those products and just kind of trying to find those top keywords for each kind of product segment. And then just make sure whoever's writing that copy, because someone's writing that copy for your page, whoever's writing it, make sure they're a good writer. Make sure, they think about how they're describing products and using the right words, because a lot of keyword research, again, that was the first thing I pointed out in keyword research, is the first step is to brainstorm what are all of the features of your product. So if you are using a good copywriter who is articulately explaining all of the features of your product, you will be optimizing for search. Okay, and you just can't. It would just not quite in depth as maybe if you're only working on 10 products, but for 500 products, that just focus on that. When you get that product launched, get a good copywriter. Make sure they have a list of all your features and benefits, and they're including it in copy.
Awesome. That puts us right at 4 o'clock. There are still some questions. So if your questions didn't get answered, don't worry. We will be writing some follow-up content to this, and you can always schedule a 30-minute consultation with Liz with this link. It's agility.co/contact. And because you attended this webinar or listened to it, you can schedule a free 30 minutes with her, which is super nice of her. So, and she can help you optimize your product pages. Thank you so much, Liz. This has been great. Thank you everyone for attending, and we'll see you next time.
Okay, thanks guys.